All right, we are back, and I hope everyone is ready to enter Sandman Sports because we have a packed show today. Pat Klett, Sandman, how are you boys doing today?
Saga continues. Wu-Tang. What up, Bill? What up, E?
Let's get into it, boys. We have another great show planned today. We have a new segment we'll be introducing. We have, of course, our hot takes and our stone cold locks. We have our top five and our fun nailed it segment where Pat has got off to the lead in being the worst at this game. Mm-hmm. More to come on all that soon. But first, guys, I do want to spotlight one of our longtime local players in Sandman Pools, Mike Paston. Mike texted me and Bill over the weekend, and it got me thinking about something and wanted to just run it by you guys and get your thoughts on something. So in the Thursday night Chiefs-Ravens game, Mike bet $10 on the exact score to be 27-20, final score. And he hit it, and he won a cool $1,000. He then shared with us that betting exact scores is one of his favorite types of bets, and he's won a lot of money on that in recent weeks, including a Dodger Blue Jays 2-game exact score parlay for $10 that paid $18,000 for him. Very nice job, Mike, and appreciate you sharing that with us. But it got me thinking, are there any off the radar type bets that you guys like to make and have had success with? Or do you stick primarily to just game lines and over unders?
Gambling is illegal in Minnesota. So that's thanks, Eric. But if I could, I would like to do anytime touchdowns or second half spreads. I feel like after I watch the first half of a game, I got a decent feel of where it's headed. And then I would do some second half spreads for sure. Can't because I live in a prison.
I know. What is up with our states, Pat? When are they going to figure out?
God, that's right. Neither of you can. Wow.
Yeah, I know. Washington, Minnesota, it just makes no sense. But hopefully it's turning a corner and it'll happen soon. Bierman, for me, kind of a funny story. And it this is something that I haven't done like religiously or anything, but it's just something that was really, really fun on my 50th birthday party. We were down in Arizona where you can gamble on this type of stuff. And we did the punt bets. Have you guys seen that? Where you're betting that the first possession of the game will be a punt followed by another punt. And then throughout the game, you can actually bet the punt as it goes. And it was awesome. I mean, because you are sweating every single second of every single play. Like if the pass goes through somebody's hands, almost for the interception, your bet would have been toast. And the one the reason I picked it out at the local DraftKings location down there, when they have the kiosks and everything, I mean, those places are so fun, just awesome. But it was the Pittsburgh-Cleveland Browns game last year, and it was pouring and so muddy. And I'm just like, there's no way they're going to be able to do anything. So, but then they almost fumbled, almost threw a pick. It was craziness on both possessions of the first game. But we hit this bet, and then, of course, we're hooked after that. Now it's just like, we got to play the punt.
That's a good one.
It was really fun. It's a great one if you're watching the game because you're just sweating it, right? So that was just an experience for sure.
I would like that one because for me, one of my favorites is no score in the first 7 minutes of the game or 6.5. It depends on the teams usually, but I love that. And I've had a lot of success with that. Of course, sometimes you get some quick touchdowns, but you're always sweating it, Bill. You're like, oh gosh, punt the ball early on, or miss that field goal,
no turnovers,
or go for it on fourth down and not get it. So it's that one I always love. And one thing I love that you guys can't really experience because it's not legal there, but live betting, I never realized how fun live betting is, especially where I've had some success there is when a favorite gets down early, the line just they might be favored by 6. They get down by 10, maybe. Now maybe it's a pick 'em, and you just know that team's going to come back. I love betting those when those opportunities arise.
We saw that with golf this year. Some buddies playing live bets on Scotty Scheffler. So he would fall behind, right, and wasn't playing great. And then you just know he's going to make a charge. So they were getting unbelievable odds on Scheffler, because if you bet Scheffler to win the tournament, right? I mean, his odds were like Tiger level as a favorite. But anyway, that was really fun live betting as well.
Well, on that note, let's review some of the top headlines from the weekend. Texas looked dominant in the big house. My Bengals looked awful and crushed many people's survivor hopes. The Northern Illinois Huskies from the Mighty Mac took down those Notre Dame Irish. Oregon struggled again. And the Chiefs look like they may three-peat. They looked strong out of the gates against the Ravens. We're going to get into all those storylines, but first, boys, I want to start with a quick round of on board or just plain bored. Similar to buy or sell, I'm going to make a few declarations, and you're going to tell me if you are on board with that statement, meaning you agree, and you'll share a little bit why, or if you disagree with it and think it has no chance, say you're just plain bored. And we're going to go through these and get your guys' opinions on this. All right. Declaration number 1. Marcus Freeman is not the answer at Notre Dame and will be removed before he coaches a game in the 2025 season. Pat Klett, what say you?
They just plain bored.
Okay.
It was a one-off.
You think they're going to be okay?
I think they'll be all right. I think he'll right the ship a little bit.
All right.
Yeah, I have to agree with Pat, Eric. As much as I don't want to, and I'm always rooting for Notre Dame to suffer and fail miserably, their defense still looks good. And I think that he's continuing to bring talent in there. He's just picked the wrong transfer quarterbacks. Doesn't it seem like it? It's like 2 years in a row now. These guys just look lousy. So if they could just find a QB, throw that with their defense, I think Notre Dame's going to be all right. But he also has that, he's kind of got the mojo, if you know what I mean. He's like a young dude, strapping, he just looks like he's fits the part. So I don't think they're moving on from him anytime soon. I'm just plain bored.
All right. Well, for me, I picked them to be under wins. 10.5 was the number. I was nervous last week. Now I love the bet. Freeman just isn't a top-level coach, guys, and Riley Leonard is not the answer. I don't know if you saw his INT at the end of the game, but that was just a boneheaded play. You can't do that in that situation. He's going to make it through the season, and if they go 9-3 or better, he'll probably stay, but less than that, and his seat is going to be real hot. I am on board. I think he is out after this season.
Do they make our pick of slipping out of the top 25 or even the college playoff? Because Bierman, remember in our first episode, we both picked Notre Dame to be our choice to slip. So you think that happens, or do they still make the playoff?
I would bet a lot of money against them making the playoffs right now.
Tough loss. I mean, that doesn't.
I mean, they lost to Northern Illinois at Notre Dame. I don't know how. They're not that good.
I think one of the three of us also picked that game correctly.
That's facts.
Yes.
Yeah, I did.
I think Mr. Klett picked it. That was a very good pick, buddy.
When you have a gift, you need to share it with the world. And that's what I'm doing.
And we're very grateful for that, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Statement number 2. Oregon will turn things around and will still challenge the Buckeyes for Big Ten supremacy this year. Pat, what do you got?
With that? Or no, sorry. I'm just plain bored. I do not think they're going to turn it around. I think 2 games that they should have just blown out the competition and they struggled. I think that's a sign of things to come.
What about you, Bill?
I'm on board again, just much to my chagrin. I feel like these questions were targeted at my hate schools, Eric. But here's the thing on Oregon, you guys. I feel like they're going to get things rolling this week. In the Civil War, they've had a rough start in their first 2 games. They're still 2-0. They still have great players. They have a good coach. I hate them, but I just don't see them going anywhere. And they'll be there at the end of the year. That's my feeling.
I'm with you, man. I'm on board. I still have faith in the Ducks. It might be blind faith. They were lucky to beat Boise State. By the way, did you guys see that kick return touchdown they scored that should not have been a touchdown because the Duck clearly dropped the ball before getting in the end zone?
Yeah, that was strange. Did you hear the ruling, though? I didn't actually know that rule.
No.
They said because because the Oregon player picked up the ball, and I can't remember the word that they used, but basically it was right away, that qualified for the touchdown to count. But if the guy would have taken his time and got over to the ball and then picked it up, it wouldn't have been. So it just seems kind of like a subjective,
I didn't know
odd
that.
rule. Yeah, I think they called it like a continuation ruling or something like that. So just odd though. But is there a dumber play in sports?
I missed
No,
it.
it drives
I missed
me
it.
crazy.
Was this another one? I didn't see the highlight, but was this another one where
Yeah,
they're,
like
they're
Leon
almost
Lett
into the
or-
end zone and they just drop the ball
Yeah.
early? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Huskies had a kid do that last year too. I
That
mean,
happens every year.
what are you doing?
Why?
I mean, come on. Yeah, why? Why is it cooler to drop the ball the moment you cross the goal line? Why is that even a thing?
It's like NFL
It
players
just-
driving cars. Why are you driving cars? You make a ton of money, get someone to drive your car. The kid's dropping the ball.
Yeah.
It's just you have to cross the
Yeah.
line. It's not that hard.
Bizarre. And that was a great college football game, you guys. That
It was
kid
a good
from
game.
Boise State, they're talking about he's in the Heisman race, the Janty. That dude is a stud.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a good game. Oregon had to, scratch and claw just to pull that one out.
Yeah, I do believe the Ducks still have a very talented team. Lanning's a great coach, and they will take care of business against their rival Beavers. I'm concerned when they battle the Buckeyes, but lots of time to right the ship still. I am on board that they will turn things around. All right, last one, gentlemen. The AFC representative in the Super Bowl will be either the Chiefs or the Texans. Pat?
I'm going to go overboard on this one and say that the Chiefs are. It seems like they're going to score every possession. And
I love that Pat created a new
That is
category or
fantastic.
answer.
On board,
So
just
good.
plain
I got
board,
a
or
little- I got a
overboard.
little
That is
confused
great.
earlier with the just plain board or on board and which is which, and so I just went overboard with the Chiefs.
Next thing-
they're too good.
Pat's going to be throwing Overboard into his top 5 movie picks with Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell is going to be in his next.
Remade that.
Pat, you're
Didn't they
awesome.
remake that?
Never change.
Oh.
They did remake
They
that
did
with
that.
Anna
Oh, did they?
Faris.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not see the remake.
Oh wait.
All right, so
Yeah,
you
I
think
did.
Chiefs guaranteed?
It's just they look too
Yeah.
sharp on offense, and they, yeah. I mean, how do you stop it? Play a perfect game, which is tough because, I mean, did you see what Travis Kelce was wearing at the U.S. Open women's match? I mean, how
No,
do you
I
root
didn't
for a
see
guy wearing a hat like that? You can't. I would recommend looking
Yeah.
it up. It's hard to see. Not that I'm the best dresser in the world, but you can't. You get up. It's terrible.
I will definitely look it up. Can you describe this hat, or
It's
is it?
like a bucket.
I just have to go
It's
look
like
at
a
it.
bucket hat with a stripe coming down the middle. I just don't know where to. I don't even know how to make fun of it. It's that awkward and odd. But
Wow.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, Bierman, same for me, man. I mean, how do you, until somebody dethrones these guys, how do you pick anyone else? And I know you're a Bengals fan, so that might be part of it. But yeah, I mean, I'm just on Mahomes, and give me the Chiefs.
Guys, I
How
hate
about
to
you?
tell you, but you're wrong on this one. Sorry. Just plain board for sure. I will say, of the two, I think the Texans have the better chance. I think their offense looks like they're already in midseason form. Looked very impressive. Joe Mixon, by the way, did you see the former Bengal? 159 yards rushing and a touchdown. He looked awesome. But they almost collapsed against the Colts, and I'm just not sure that they're going to keep it together all year. And I just have a sneaky feeling, guys, that while the Chiefs took care of business last week against the good Ravens team, I think they're going to falter this year. No, I'm not. I do think the Bengals. I do think the Bengals are going to cover. I think the Bengals are going to cover, and I think the Bengals could potentially win. I don't think the Bengals are going to go to the Super Bowl, but it is so hard to three-peat, and I think they're ready to be dethroned. I think the Bills and the Ravens are my top two choices, even though the Ravens just lost to the Chiefs. So I am just plain bored. Yeah.
Yeah, Ravens would be my number 2. I mean, they look good in that game. That was a great game, too.
Great
Kick
start.
off the season.
Yeah.
The only
It
thing I'll
was.
say on that is I felt like Lamar Jackson was a little off on a lot of his throws. Just not quite as accurate.
Why does he
He-
keep throwing it to Isaiah Likely when I have Mark Andrews on my team?
Yeah, I know. I know. He needs to just put that ball down and run with it because I have Lamar Jackson on my team. I just want him running the ball. Stop passing. All right, guys. So there were a lot of great games. So let's talk a little bit. Let's do our hot takes now. What are a couple things that stood out to you from the weekend's action? Pat, start us off.
The first two games were great. You had the Thursday night and then the Friday in Brazil. I feel, as I said before, I feel like Kansas City is going to score every time they touch the ball, and but that great first game. The Packers Eagles, there were two opportunities for pick six going the other way, and both dropped, one by each team. And is there nothing worse and a better than seeing a guy jump a route, have it go right in his hands, nothing but daylight, and it just slips right through, and then you're just like, that could have difference between me winning and losing this week. You hit that pick six, it's over. We got it. But now they're gonna score, and it's almost like a double whammy. So, but yeah, otherwise, Josh proving me wrong. I thought the Bills were gonna take a step back, but apparently one person can, to victory. And good. I watched a lot of NFL this week. I had to work a lot Saturday, so NFL games to start the season. Tyreek Hill, please just roll your window down. Why does it have to be that difficult? Come on. It's so arrogant.
Did you hear, at least today, he came out and said that he could have handled it a little better?
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah. I give him at least that, since he lawyered up quick and was ready to make it tricky for everybody involved.
What about you, Bill?
Mine was, it kind of along with Pat's first one there, I just thought what a great NFL football game to kick off the season. And between two really good teams. And as I just said on the last segment, I just really think that Baltimore is going to be right there with Kansas City. So that was a fun one. Isaiah Likely by a toenail, right? I mean, it came down to the very end. My second hot take, though, and Bierman, I think you're going to appreciate this. Pat, I don't know if we've ever chatted about this, but have you guys seen this new craze in fantasy called guillotine leagues? You guys know the guillotine leagues, right?
Yep.
So basically, it's just, long story short, it chops the bottom person off every single week. So just don't be last. That's the whole thing. And then if you get cut, then your whole team goes into this auction process. And everyone can bid. And the guy that's started this company, Pat's from your neck of the woods, Paul Charchian. Who's done Charch. He's done a ton of stuff great in the fantasy league industry. So kudos to him.
He does more research than me.
Does he? Yeah, I'm sure a little bit.
He throws out numbers, but he does a good job.
Yeah, he's had a few different companies that did really well. League Safe for payments. This guillotine thing he just sold to Matthew Berry. So he's been a real innovator in the industry, and I had a chance to meet him years ago at the Fantasy Sports Trade Association conference in Vegas. He was a cool dude too, super willing to talk about a bunch of stuff. Anyway, kudos to him. But the guillotine leagues, I haven't felt this much juice in a fantasy league in a long time. I mean, actually was checking live scoring throughout Sunday, like, how's my team doing? How are we, like, are we dead last? And I'm co-owning it with a buddy out here in Seattle. And I mean, we were texting each other, and and we ended up almost taking the high week last week. But I thought what's crazy is going to be the strategy as you introduce all these new players. So Christian McCaffrey was cut in the first week, right? I mean, he screwed over my buddy Paul in the league. So Paul gets cut, but now Christian McCaffrey gets dumped in, and you have that fixed amount to bid on these players. And I think the strategy is going to be really interesting. So as I've gotten older, I think I've lost a little bit of interest in fantasy overall, but this feels like I've kind of got this renewed energy around it. So it was fun.
Yeah.
It's a really cool format.
I used to do fantasy football with my high school friends for years, and that league dissolved because you'd have guys not starting a kicker or starting someone who's out for the season, and they just don't know. And then if you match, it's unfair because I match up against, or the person I'm playing matches up against them, and that person basically doesn't care, so they get the easy victory. So yeah, I love the format. I think that would be a sweet thing to get me back into fantasy football.
Yeah. Bierman, what was your take? on our first.
Yeah, I'll go off the radar a little bit for my first one. I do want to call out, gentlemen, that the Cocks visited the Cats over the weekend. And no, Pat, I'm not talking about the Saturday night kegger at a frat house. I am referring to the South Carolina Gamecocks rolling into Lexington and absolutely manhandling the Kentucky Wildcats. And why is this noteworthy? Well, it is because Kentucky fans, and I live very close to Kentucky border here in Cincinnati, so I have a lot of Kentucky friend fans. They thought game day might be coming to Lexington this weekend if they took care of business. They didn't, and now, ironically, game day is going to Columbia for the LSU South Carolina game. Post Spencer Rattler, I wasn't sure what to expect, but their new quarterback, Lenore Sanders, stepped in, moved the team efficiently. But I got to say, I'm not sure either of those teams are very good. And I think LSU is going to come into Columbia and put a hurting on the Cocks this Saturday night.
Bogota? Columbia? Double A's expanding like the NFL?
Is Columbia there a surname city? With more talented players than Sanders?
Say that again?
Is there a surname with more talented players than Sanders?
There is. That is true.
Think about it. Sanders. There are a zillion Sanders. Right. So shout out.
Shout out to you.
To my posse. Yeah, my posse.
The other thing I just have to briefly say, Zach Taylor and the Bengals frustrate me so freaking much early in the season. Did you guys know in Zach Taylor's 6 seasons as head coach, they are 1-10, most likely soon to be 1-11 in their first 2 games of the season. Zach refuses to play any of his starters any meaningful minutes at all during the preseason. And I get the whole thing around injuries and fresh legs later in the season, but they always look so rusty and out of sorts. And it is hard year in and year out to battle back from 0-2 starts in the NFL. Come on, Zach. You got to realize your approach early in the season just isn't working and got to change something. It is so frustrating to be a Bengal fan right now.
The game where the Patriots, did the Patriots play well, or was it just a debacle?
No, the Patriots are still atrocious. The Bengals, I mean, they fumbled the ball going. They had 2 fumbles, I think, in the first half, and that totaled the number of total fumbles they had all last season. They just, they made stupid plays, turnovers, penalties. They should have easily won the game, but they didn't. And it's because they were just rusty.
I was feeling for you this weekend, Bierman.
Yeah. I had a couple rough games. Yeah, it was. It was not good. All right, guys. Well, we didn't go quite as hot in week 2 as we did in week 1 with our picks. We took a step back, but I'm feeling a little redemption in the air this week. I know Bill and Pat, you both went 1-1-1, I believe. I went 1-2 with that awful Titan collapse against the Bears. But I think it's time to bounce back with this week's Stone Cold Locks. Pat, start us off.
Well, I'm going to go with my beloved Vikes. Touchdown dog at home. And the Niners look good, but NFL home dog, I feel like the Vikes D is looked pretty solid, and a lot. West Bank Stadium, I think, these week 2 knee-jerk reactions where San Francisco's unbelievable. I think that it'll be a close one. We might lose, but I feel like it'll be close. I take the Vikings at home.
They looked good on Sunday. Yeah, now I know it was against the Giants, but how did Darnold look? I didn't see his stats.
Really nice ball down the sideline to JJ. Just put it dropped it right in the basket. Interception was on it was a tip. Like his hand when he was trying to follow through, the ball got tipped. So that interception really wasn't. So yeah, he protected the ball well and made the right choices, I thought.
I love it. I mean, I hope you guys take San Francisco down and like 7 of their guys get slightly injured. That would be phenomenal.
I like that pick too, Pat. I actually will probably pick that in my betting strategy this week too.
We'll get shelled 40-0 because that's how it works.
San Fran's good.
Yeah,
San Fran's legit. Yeah.
What do you got, Bill?
So for my Stone Cold Lock, Eric, I'm leaning on an old gambling mentor, And he used to always say, don't bet against streaks and believe what your eyes are telling you. And so I'm going back to his words, and I am going to take Kansas City against your beloved Bengals. Again, said this before, but until somebody handles Kansas City, I'm going to keep riding Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City. And a touchdown at Arrowhead seems very doable. Give me the Chiefs -6.
It could very well happen. I mean, the way the Bengals look, they could win very easily. It does feel a little bit like a trap game to me, because the Bengals are nowhere near as bad as they looked on Sunday, but they do play really bad the first 2 games of the season, as I shared earlier. So
yeah, and what's your take? I wanted to ask you, Eric, what's your take on Burrow's wrist? Because I know last year, obviously, he's out, he comes back, and then, and I'm seeing all these things, clips and whatnot. He can't pick up a Gatorade bottle. He's like, I don't think he's that hurt. Is he 100%?
I don't know if he's 100%. I don't think it had any bearing at all on their performance. He whipped the ball around fine. I'm not concerned at all about him. I'm a little concerned about T. Higgins' hamstring, because that thing can carry on throughout the season. I hope they do rest him for a few weeks so that he can get healthy, because we do need T back. With just Jamar as our only main receiving threat, it's going to be a long season. So,
and you can still get that over T. Higgins yardage. Just get him healthy.
We got to get him healthy. Yeah, we got to get him healthy. The longer he sits out, the worse that bet looks, but I'm still confident there. All right, I'm going to go with a Friday night game where Arizona travels to Manhattan, Kansas, and the Arizona Wildcats get 7.5 points. And I love the points here. Both defenses rate horribly, but one stat really jumps out at me. K-State is 117th in passing yards allowed, which plays directly into Arizona's strength. Arizona ranks second in the nation with an average of 422 passing yards per game, and they're third in total offense with 627 yards per game. Also, Arizona has covered their past 5 games when underdogs of 7 or more. K-State struggled last week against Tulane. They almost lost, probably should have. Arizona looked rusty against Northern Arizona, but they have the offensive firepower, I think, to exploit Kansas State's defense. I expect a high-scoring affair. I think Kansas State's going to put up points too, but I think at the end, the Desert Cats have enough offensive weapons to outplay the Farm Cats, and they walk away with probably the win, honestly, but definitely the cover.
Love that.
Pat, what do you got for number 2?
Number 2, Pittsburgh at Denver, under 36.5. I feel like Pittsburgh is this year's Iowa. There's all season. TJ Watt he's good at what he does. Pittsburgh can run the ball, and I feel like there'll be very few points. And that's my...
What was that, under 36.5?
36.5, which is a little low for, scary to take an under at that number, but I'm going to try it.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it.
I love that. It was in my honorable mentions, and I was kind of curious about the Russell Wilson, Justin Fields situation, as well as if you watched Bo Nix play last week and Sean Payton coached that game plan, how can you tell me that Bo Nix is ready to play quarterback in the NFL? He was awful.
Yeah. And Fields is not going to throw deep. He's either going to be a run or a quick out. So when they do have these scoring drives, it's going to be 5, 10, not big hitters.
But Bill, what do you got?
Yeah, guys. So my second Stone Cold lock, I'm going to stick close to home. Rivalry week up here in the Northwest, and the Civil War is happening down in Corvallis between the Ducks and the Beavs. We already mentioned Oregon struggling in their first 2, and for some reason here they're favored by 16.5 points, and I just can't really figure out why. What have they shown us to this point? Oregon State's 2-0. They're playing at home at Reser. It's going to be absolutely nuts. And you guys have already heard me say this multiple times, but I am just all about the Pac-2 this year. I am rooting for those teams. every single week, except this week for the Cougs and the Huskies, of course, Apple Cup. But, give me the Beavs plus 16.5 all day, every day to cover that spread. Yep, in Corvallis.
Yeah, I love Beaver State. A couple of years ago, they were one of my favorite teams to bet on. Just because I could watch that game late at night, I knew I'd be home. I knew the kids would be in bed, and it's like, all right, I'm gonna hit up the Pac-12 after dark. Now the Pac-2.
Well, and they lost Jonathan Smith, who also coached, I believe, when Rick Neuheisel was here with the Washington Huskies. He was our offensive coordinator, and he goes to Oregon State, turns that program around after Mike Riley left, I believe, for Nebraska, if I remember right. And so then he got him on a good run and goes to Sparty, where Bierman hates him.
Yeah.
And doesn't think they're going to be any good, which time will tell. The Beavs lost a ton of players, and yet they've come out and played arguably better competition in their first two games than Oregon has. So I don't know, guys. This one just feels, maybe it's a trap. Maybe Oregon finds it this week. I still think Oregon wins the game. In fact, I think they probably win by double digits. But it's the rivalry, right? And it always seems to come down to kind of throw the records out. Going to be a close game. The weather might be a little bit rainy and cold up here in the Northwest this weekend.
That helps too.
And so, give me the Beavs.
I love
Bierman, how about you?
Yeah. All right. So I had to literally triple check these numbers because I was scratching my head. I love this under. It is off the beaten path a little bit. It is South Florida at Southern Mississippi, under 58.5 points. Now, just listen to some of this. While neither defense is elite by any stretch, both are more than capable. Southern Miss actually ranks in the top 60 defensively. What really stands out, though, to me is how bad the offenses are on both sides. South Florida averages 309 yards a game. They're 83rd in the nation in total yardage. Even with an easier opponent, Bethune-Cookman, earlier in the season, they haven't been able to consistently move the ball. On the other side, despite a 35-10 win over Southeastern Louisiana, Southern Miss, they're averaging 131 total yards per game. That ranks them at 130th in the FBS. Neither team can move the ball at all, which should keep the score certainly lower than 58.5. Take the under.
Wow. Nice find.
Yeah.
I didn't even know those two teams existed.
I think you should. This is a good opportunity to plug your new YouTube video segment as well, Bierman.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
This was your pick.
This was my pick. I did just throw that out there. Bill and I are doing some daily shorts on YouTube, our YouTube channel.
Wait, you guys are doing something without me?
Well, I love that Pat just said that, because I was actually thinking today, watching Bierman's.
Pat, we sent you 6 texts to do it. We expected you to be doing this.
I work.
Yeah,
I work.
You should have 5. You should have 5 videos done by now.
Yeah, I had to work this week.
15 seconds or less, Pat. It's almost tougher, I feel like, to do these quick shorts. 15 seconds or less. Anyway, Bierman, your title killed me. It was so awesome.
Yeah, so this isn't a short, but I'm also doing every Tuesday. That's when it came out. I might start actually bringing it up Monday, but it's called Monday Morning I Want My Quarterback segment, and it's going to be talking about bad beats or how we did overall, maybe good wins, maybe lucky wins. But this past segment, I talked about 2 bad beats for me. The Oklahoma State coming back to cover against Arkansas. We had them at 7.5. They lost by 8 in overtime. And then the Bears were down 17-0. Caleb Williams, I'll talk a little bit more about this in my Stone Cold Lock number 3, but Caleb Williams looked awful, and yet somehow they managed to bring the Bears back and won. So anyways, check that out as well. All right, where are we? Thank you.
So it's
I love clever titles.
It's kind of a
as well.
bad beat.
That was very well done.
Yeah, it's a look at bad beats for the weekend.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a couple. I had Utah. Utah killed me. They were up like 24-0 at halftime, and Rising gets hurt, and Otherwise, I'm in one other league. I'm seeing someone else. My son is in that league too, and my son it pays the top 4 or 5 every week, and my son got second, and I really needed that one because losing to my son is tough because he does not know
Not
football.
acceptable.
And like, to give you an idea, last year, the Navy Army game, he looked at me with a straight face and he goes, I think I'm going to take Army because they spend more time on land. And I was like, am I losing to you in this league? It's tough, but
sometimes it's that sort of research that just gets it done.
he gets his research from his father. Yep, for sure.
All right, Pat,
Just
play it down with number 3.
Florida getting 4.5 at home Saturday afternoon in the Swamp. I think Miami is just that good, and that's why they lost that first one. A&M coming in to see them. It's an afternoon game. Get together this week. Give me Florida at home. Getting points at home. Maybe it's a field goal, last second field goal game, and win or lose, they win for me.
So this is probably a good time to also plug our CMan Legend picks, where 9 of our 10 legends are above 500 and have made money the first 2 weeks of the year. 9 out of 10 against the spread. That's pretty impressive. What made me think of it was, Pat, as you know, and Bill, that game is one of the games that we will be picking on our site this week, and I absolutely love Florida for that. Absolutely love Florida. I think that is a great pick, Pat.
All I do is make great picks.
I think that was the hardest game.
I think Pat's exactly right. I think it was a matter of Miami being so good, not Florida being so bad. And we just saw what Notre Dame is.
Yeah, right.
And
they just had
I
a
like
chance
Florida
to
getting
beat
points.
up on an FCS team last week and, basically scrimmage and get it together. So
hey,
it's exciting.
All right, Bill, what do you got?
Yeah, for my third, this is maybe not quite the over-under line that you just gave us, Bierman, but like doing a double take. But so my third lock is the under 37.5 in the Seahawks versus Patriots game. And here's my rationale, guys. So this New England Patriots D just held Cincinnati, I would say a very good offense, to 10 points. And now they're playing a Seattle Seahawks team that gave up 2 safeties, and it should have been 3 safeties, guys, in that game. The offensive line is atrocious. The Seahawks offensive line is in shambles. So I don't see the Seahawks putting on a ton of points, but New England's offense looks awful. And the Seahawks defense looked very good flying all over the field against Bo Nix, granted rookie, playing against the Seahawks in week 1. But I mean, if you watch the Hawks game like I did, you'd understand too that the Seahawks gave them short fields 3 different times, and the Hawks were able to hold and limit Denver's offense to very limited points. And I believe it was 2 field goals in those 3 possessions that I'm thinking of. So to me, 37 points seems Iowa-esque, yes, but wow. Guys, give me the under here.
Kind of sold me, man. That is really sound strategy there. I kind of like that bet.
I
mean, Patriots
Gerard Mayo too.
Really,
he's got New England flying around. I mean, they're going to be terrible on offense, but that team's going to play some deep.
I feel like sometimes, though, bad teams beat up on bad teams, and this might be Seattle might thump them this week.
I hope you're right.
All right,
for
my final Stone Cold lock today, Bill Williams did not look good in his debut. He went 14 for 29 with just 93 passing yards. The Bears offense totaled less than 200 yards. Somehow Chicago managed to edge out a win over the Titans. They had 2 non-offensive touchdowns in order to do that. I love the Texans giving 6.5 points against the Bears. I am back on the anti-Bear bandwagon this week. Houston's offense, CJ Stroud picked up where he left off last season. He had 234 passing yards, 2 touchdowns to newcomer Stephon Diggs. Joe Mixon, as I mentioned earlier, dominated the ground game. Nico Collins continues to just be a rising star. He notched 100-plus passing yard or receiving yards. I see no way that the Bears can stick with the Texans.
On my honorables. Love
Where
it.
is that game being
Yeah.
played?
I'm picking, yeah.
That
Houston.
is at Houston. Yeah.
Oh, at
Sunday Night Football.
in Houston? Yeah.
Yeah.
They're going to want to show
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
They're going to want to show out on national TV.
I think, yeah.
Bierman, honestly, I don't know how I didn't put that in my top 3.
I would
Hey,
take over
I
there.
absolutely
I would
love
take
that.
the over there in that one.
What is the over, do you know?
45.
Okay.
45.5.
Houston might pick up a big chunk of that. Bierman, I love that pick.
Okay. All right, boys. Let's move on to our top 5. This week we are gonna go back to a sports theme, and we're gonna go collegiate today, and we are gonna share our top 5 best or favorite college football helmets / uniforms. You cannot select your own team, so I cannot select Michigan, even though I think we all know that should be number 1 on everybody's list.
And I don't have a team, so
All
I
right,
can pick
Pat.
Stay tuned.
Pat, give us your number 5 and 4.
college. I don't really have a huge opinion on helmets and logos. And I noticed looking at my list, I went with a lot of animals. So I think, I like the zoo. I like animals. So I went Roman Cowboys. I was on a horse once and
solid.
I cried and I never got off. I never got on a horse again in my life. But I've always felt like kind of a cowboy, a gun. So, but I feel like I like Cowboys, and they're, I don't know where I'm going with this, but let's take the Cowboys.
I could have safely said that the Wyoming Cowboys were not going to be chosen in today's segment. So
That's a horse.
kudos to you, Pat.
I like it.
It is
Josh
a cool
Allen.
helmet. It is a
Josh
cool
Allen.
helmet. All right, what do you got for number 4?
And number 4, I went with another animal, Oregon State Beavers. They're
Okay. You like those beavers?
Yeah, I do love beavers, and it's a great looking logo.
Bill, what's your 5 and 4?
Okay, so
Best
I'm gonna
college
mix it up.
uniforms.
Yep, I'm mixing it up on you a little bit, Bierman. So my how many Division I college football programs are there?
74.
I think it's like 136,
36.
somewhere in there.
Yeah, I think it's 136.
36,
I think that's right.
somewhere like that. Okay, so I'm gonna pick numbers 130 through 145 best college football helmets, Oregon Ducks. Okay, so number 130 through 145, because they have so many stupid combinations and they all suck. Okay, so that's their number 130 through number 145. That's Oregon. Okay, now I'll go to my top 5 and top 4. Okay, so number 5,
Well
Eric's
played.
going to think that I undervalued, but they still made the top 5, Michigan Wolverines. And what I love about Michigan is that the colors and the simplicity. And it's like you just see it and you just think tradition. And that's what college football is about. I'm also going to just throw in there real quick. I'm not a huge helmet sticker guy. And when I was doing a little research for this, I did realize, Ohio State's got all the stickers, whatever those little nuts are, acorns, I don't even know what the stupid things are. But Michigan actually did helmet stickers, which I didn't realize. I would have thought that they were clean helmets. But props.
That is a newish thing.
Okay.
That is a
Are
semi-newish
they
thing.
scratch and sniff?
Not a huge
Well, and
Are they scratch and sniff?
that
should
would
be.
be
I would
actually,
want
that
them on
would
my
be
helmet.
really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if your helmets are colliding with all the guys' helmets and then you're smelling the aroma of
It's
the
like
scratch and
Cinnabon.
sniff? What's going on
There was a time back in the day where Michigan did it for a short amount of time, but Harbaugh, and it might have been when Harbaugh was there. Harbaugh brought it back when Harbaugh came. He brought it back, but I don't love it. I don't love it either. But all right, what's your 4?
Michigan's my number 5. Number 4, another hated team for me, but the USC Trojans. Again, I just think that you're talking about tradition. You're talking about great players. it's just one of those things. And I can think of all these Husky USC matchups and that rivalry. And, you see those helmets walking into Husky Stadium and you just get that anger and you just hate this team. That's, for me, says that it's a good helmet. So USC Trojans, my number 4.
Yeah, USC was definitely considered by me. It's a good one for sure. I'm gonna actually go off the beaten path a little bit for my number 5 and number 4. Really, the number 5 and 4, I really like both of them. I think they're vastly underrated. This one, I think, is going to draw some reactions, perhaps, because I don't think many like this one. It's even a little Oregon-ish, probably, but I really like the Maryland Terrapin helmets and how they represent the Maryland state flag. They are very busy. They're definitely not old school, but I like the nod to the state. I like that it's different. It's definitely
That's cool.
very Under Armour-ish. And then my 4th one is Kansas. It's not going to be a popular choice, but I just think the Jayhawk looks so cool. Their shades of blue and red really pop. For the past 20 years, their uniforms and helmets were the best part of the team since they were awful on the field. Leopold's changed that as coach, but I just really like the Jayhawk look. All right, Pat, what do you got for number 3 and 2?
The UTSA Roadrunners. Cool little, there's, skinny
Animal.
little Roadrunner.
I don't even know what they're
Talking about.
You realize we're not ranking like logos or mascots, right?
I don't know did I miss the assignment?
Pat, roll with it.
I quit.
I love it. The Roadrunners, UTSA Roadrunners.
I don't know.
You got it.
What
All
am I
right.
basing it on?
Yeah, Bierman, stop critiquing his animal. I can't wait to hear number 2.
Roadrunners, they run.
Is there coyotes at
wait.
number 2?
Animals.
Bierman, we should guess Pat's 2 and 1.
Wish I knew that people would make
Pat, sorry,
making fun
go
of
ahead.
me all the time. You guys, I don't like being here. I'm uncomfortable. Go home. I'm at home.
All right, what's your number 2?
Wolfpack. Reason.
Anything
I like wolves.
in particular? All right.
Like
Wolves, especially when they run in packs.
I love it. So you also love Nevada.
Yeah,
Love it.
Nevada Wolfpack.
Yeah.
Sure. All right. Did I give you 2?
Yeah,
Okay.
that was good. Do you want to just do number 1 as well?
I might,
You're rolling.
I might as well keep it going. Number 1. Ohio State Bulldogs.
The Bulldogs. You like that?
I
you
do,
like that.
and it's
Okay.
because, Bulldogs. I'll stop. You guys go on. You have the floor.
That was phenomenal, Pat. Absolutely phenomenal. All right, Bierman, my number 3, I actually wanted to make sure that I followed Pat with some animals in my top 5 as well. But this is not helmet related necessarily, but it does tie in. And that is the pig suey. Have you guys ever heard that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Arkansas. Oh, yeah.
In Arkansas, the Razorbacks, that's a badass
They're
animal
crazy.
helmet.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's a cool one. A great scene in and around that stadium too. I visited my buddy Ryan Harrington down there. We went to see them play Alabama. Lane Kiffin was the offensive coordinator at the time, who grew up in Bloomington.
Minnesota?
And Jefferson Jags, he's a Jag, Lane Kiffin, because Monty Kiffin was the defensive coordinator for the Vikings for a number of years. So they grew up in Minnesota. But anyway, we went down there in Arkansas, great scene, college football scene as well, tailgate, etc. But that's just a cool helmet. And then my number 2, just an absolute classic helmet, and that is the Texas Longhorns. I sticking with the animal theme, I suppose, but it's just one of those ones that to me is iconic. It's very simple. It looks clean. Even their combinations are cool, the different colors and different things that they do with it. And I find myself rooting for Steve Sarkisian there as well. The Huskies keep beating him, though, in the bowl games, then I'm all for it. But give me the hook 'em horns.
Yeah. So I'll start with my number 2 and go to 3 then, because I had Texas as my number 2 as well. Love the burnt orange, the simplistic Longhorn logo. Bonus points for the fact that it lends itself to an easy horns up gesture. by all Longhorn fans, which I'm sure got obnoxious for Michigan fans at the Big House this past weekend. But I do love the Texas uniforms in their helmet. I would say, going back up to my number 3, as much as I hate to say it, I do have to go with my hated Ohio State Buckeyes.
Nice.
They do have really nice uniforms. I do love their Buckeye tradition on the back of their helmets, which many schools have stolen, including Michigan. All right, what do you got for number 1? We got Fresno State for Pat. Sandman, what do you got for number 1?
Yeah, so for my number 1, I went with a cross-state rival, the Washington State Cougars. And I don't know if you guys have ever actually noticed this. A lot of people don't really realize it, but the design of the Wazoo helmet is actually spells WSU and forms the cougar. And so, from afar, you kind of see this cougar on the helmet, but if you get in a little bit closer, you can see the letters WSU, and it's just a cool design.
That's cool.
They've kept it that way. They do the Cougars script one as well, which I'm not as big a fan of, but as much as I love my Huskies and the Cougars, I love their colors, the crimson and gray. The helmets look awesome, super clean. And again, with all the different combinations they do a nice job with it over there. So I gave my number 1 to the Cougs.
Cougars.
That's a good one.
And Pat loves Cougars. Yeah.
Too
Also
easy.
an animal.
It's just sitting there. Come on.
Yeah.
Cougars. What do you got in the Beavers and Cougars game? I don't know. It's hard to choose. Wonderful.
Pat's got himself going now. I love it.
Sorry.
I am a little surprised that Pat did pick Beavers or Cougars in his top 5.
Well, he had Beavers.
Yeah.
He did throw the Beavers in there.
And yeah, I worked 2 overnights the last 2 days, so I'm a little slap happy for like my sleep schedule being off. And I made these picks last night in the truck at like 3 a.m. Like, helmets, what the heck? So all right, give me these.
I love it.
All right. I'm going to go number 1. This is by far my favorite after the Wolverines. Penn State. I just love it's such a simple blue and white basic pattern, white helmets, no names in the backs of their jerseys. Pure football, team first, Paterno at his best. It just doesn't get more college football to me than those. So that's my number 1. All right. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for sharing top 5 of our favorite uniforms and helmets in college football. We're going to move on to one of our last segments of the day, and this was introduced last week by Bill, and it is a fun segment called Nailed It. Bill, why don't you take it away for us again today?
Yeah, so I'm really excited about Nailed It. We had fun last week. I'll drop the standings to you guys in a second, but I also just wanted to mention that I know not well at all. But I know we mentioned last week, we teased the fact that we were going to throw this out for our listener and viewer participation. We're going to pause on that just for a few weeks and reevaluate here as we get to the end of September. We're super excited to have you guys all participate in this, but we just want to make sure we get our feet under us with the podcast. We're in a good spot where we can make sure we're tracking these picks and showing everybody, what they're doing and make sure that we've just got it dialed in. So if you guys are cool with it, I'm thinking we'll just postpone that for a few weeks, and then we'll revisit the topic and make sure that we throw it out to everybody that's watching and viewing. So,
yep.
Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, so current standings. I'm not going to go through the picks one by one unless we think that we should, but I thought we would just make sure that we definitely drop in the standings. So the current leader after week 1 is yours truly. I ended up with 3 points. So Seattle is in the lead for the dinner and drinks. Eric ended up with 2 points, and Pat unfortunately was shut out, just like Caitlin Clark guess, against the Lynx. However, she did end up with 27 points.
I do want to say, if I don't win, you guys are still invited anytime. Anytime you want to stop by.
I love it.
Aw, that's so nice.
Well, I've been to your house, and I know it's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I would love to come back to Minnesota anytime.
It should be on MTV Cribs.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Absolutely. All right, gents. So you guys got your phones handy?
Yep.
We're going to get ready for our picks here. I got to grab mine off the charger, get the Sandman podcast thread pulled up here. All right. So I think we got five fun questions. We'll dive in with a couple of NFL ones to start. So The first question, how many NFL road teams will win in week 2? And just so you guys know, 6 are favored this week. Okay, so how many NFL road teams will win? In week 1, just an extra tidbit here, 5 won. Okay, so there were 5 winners in week 1. How many NFL road teams will win? 6 are favored. 3, 2, 1, send.
Crap.
Nailed it.
Hold on. I'm sorry.
No worries. So Pat guesses 3, Sandman guesses 6, and Bierman guesses 8. All right, nice. So question number 2. Total points in the Buffalo at Miami Dolphins game. AFC Tilt, Thursday Night Football. We're recording this on a Wednesday, so this game will happen tomorrow, Thursday Night Football. The over-under is 50.5. Buffalo at Miami. The only other tidbit that I have in terms of research is it sounds like the top 2 running backs for Miami may not play tomorrow. Okay? Total points. I'm going to type in my answer here. On your mark, set, go. Bryn and I were close. I was thinking I was going to be way under on this one. So Pat, 71.
Yes.
High scoring. That'll be fun. Bierman, 48. Sandman, 44.
Okay.
All right. Question number 3. Okay, we've already talked about this in the pod. The Civil War and the Apple Cup will be played this Saturday. Very odd because it's played in September, I believe for the first time ever. Normally these games happen in November. So my question to you guys is, how many wins will the Pac-2 get this weekend? This is you realize 0, 1, or 2, right? 0, 1, or 2. 3, 2, 1, go. All right. Pat thinks there'll be 1 upset. Eric and I are on the same, 0s. And remember, if you hit this exactly, it's worth 2 points. So this is a big one in our contest. One of us should probably hit this. I guess 2 if Eric and I both get it right. Just a couple of fun facts for you guys. The Civil War started in 1894. Oregon leads the series 68.
Civil War was way before that.
Well, yeah, Civil War football. Thank you, Pat.
So
The Apple Cup started in
it's
1900.
Herbie Hancock.
And UW leads the series 76, 33, and 6. Huskies have also won 12 of the last 15, 11 of the last 12 for all our Cougar listeners. Remember that. All right. Question number 4. We're going to get off the gridiron, boys. Okay, we're going to go to the diamond. Major League Baseball question.
Yes.
Aaron Judge currently leads Major League Baseball with 51 home runs. We all know chicks dig the long ball too, Pat.
Mm-hmm.
How many home runs will Aaron Judge have at the end of the regular season? So we obviously won't know the answer to this one until the end of September. Okay, but Aaron Judge currently has 51 home runs. There are 17 more games on the New York Yankees schedule, including tonight. Okay, so he has 51, 17 more games to play. How many does he end up with? Are you guys ready?
Yes, I am.
3, 2, 1, send. Okay, so Pat thinks that he may not get hot here. He's got him at 51 the rest of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Bierman 57, Sanders 60.
Hurt.
Okay, he might. Yeah, that's probably a good guess. Plus, Eric and I are close, so if he doesn't hit many, you're winning that.
I figured.
All right,
I figured
and then
you
the
guys.
last question
I felt
of
like
the
you
week.
guys were gonna go high, so I almost was like, well, I'm just gonna bid low. Take the under of your bets.
It's a good strategy.
Good nailed it strategy. I like that. All right, the 5th question. We're staying on the diamond for this one. And I mean, just how good is Shohei Ohtani, guys? He is just incredible. So currently, he has 46 home runs and 47 stolen bases. Do you guys realize there has never been a Major League Baseball player to go 50-50? In the history of Major League Baseball, no one has done it. Shohei is right on the doorstep of 50-50. Dodgers have 17 more games, including tonight, 9-11. Okay. How many combined home runs and stolen bases will Shohei have at the end of the regular season? Remember, right now, he's got 93 combined. Okay, so how many total Shoheis home runs, and stolen bases. And I've got to do my math and figure my answer out here.
Give me
He
one
has
second
93
here.
now. He's got 17 more games. Okay. Are you guys ready?
Hold on. No.
Eric,
Take
just
your time.
pick a number.
The math is tricky.
All right. I'm good.
3, 2, 1, send. Nice, Pat. Good use of the 100 emoji. Well done. Okay, Pat, right at 100. Will he get the 50-50, or is it going to be
49-51?
More stolen bases than home runs?
I don't know.
Heartbreak.
Yeah.
Bierman, 107. Sanders, 104. All right. So I knew
I don't
these ones
love
were
that
probably gonna
one.
be close.
I think I don't love my guess on that one. I think that's too high.
107.
But
I like the fact though that
He
you're
might-
the highest, so you're just rooting for him to just go crazy.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he can have a game.
I think he's
where
going
he'll
to kill it
steal
on the
second
stolen
and
bases
third.
side.
If anything, the stolen bases will get bigger.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
I hope.
He's gonna kill the 50 for sure on stolen bases. But what a special talent! I mean, just incredible. So
that is incredible.
thought it was gonna be fun on Nailed It to mix it up a little bit and not do all football this week. I know last week we had a WNBA question, but thanks guys. We'll track that over the weekend and we'll have the updates next week and then at the end of the month for the baseball questions.
Nice.
And that's it for Nailed It.
Love it. Bill, thanks so much for leading us in that segment. It is sadly time to exit CMEN Sports. Another great episode in the books. To all of our listeners, thank you so much for listening. Please follow us at Enter CMEN Sports on our YouTube channel. Visit our website at entercmensports.com where we have tons of articles and videos. You can also find our CMEN Legend picks there and follow us on Facebook at Enter CMEN Sports. We will be back again next week for episode number 5. Peace out, everybody. Take care.
See ya.